this is Stephanie and Tessa from The Uncommon Creative, and we are speaking today with Katie Andelman, who will be joining us at our Uncommon Creative Collective. So hi Katie, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you girls?
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I specialize in children's fairy tale, whimsical, fine art photography, and then editorial fashion photography. I live in Denver, Colorado in the United States. So I get, kind of like the seasons. What do you get?
Yep, all four.
Yeah, definitely. And I am so excited to be joining you girls in Canada. It's going to be my very first time.
Awesome. Yeah. So how long have you been photographing children specifically?
Well, I started specializing in kids probably about 4 years ago. And when I started photography, I shot kind of the whole gamut. I did weddings and maternity and couples and families and kids. And then I even tried my hand at newborns.
How was that? You looked a little overwhelmed there.
Yeah, I mean, that's off. But you know how people say, how do you find your niche? I feel like your niche kind of finds you. So you just try and you try different photo shoots, different subjects. And then when something clicks, you just feel it and it feels right and you feel inspired. And I think that's how it started for me, because when I started doing stylized kids, it just clicked. I had so many ideas and I was so inspired all the time. And then, that's when I knew that it was the right field for me, the right genre.
It for sure is.
Yeah, it is. You're in the right spot, girl. So one of your fans submitted a question for you, and Jenna says, your work is so magical. I've always wanted to do a stylized shoot, but don't have the budget for it. Do you have any tips for stylized sessions on a budget?
I do. So I actually really enjoy doing vintage shoots. So I like going to vintage stores and finding little girl dresses and little tiny vintage props. And they're actually quite inexpensive. I'm redoing my office, so I have some wall art on the floor here. But actually 2 of these are fully vintage shoots. So the dresses are vintage and the props are vintage. And I think that is a great, way and very unique, because nobody else would have that. And the other advice I would give is to look online for sellers like Etsy or little boutiques that would like to have their work or their designs featured with better photography. And a lot of times that's a really great pairing, because boutiques and designers want beautiful photos of their garments, and sometimes they don't have access to that. So my other recommendation would be to reach out and see if somebody's willing to partner up with you.
I think this is one of the images that you maybe were referring to when you were talking about your vintage.
Yeah,
It
is actually. So this image is really on a budget. I had this idea that I wanted to create a photo where I was utilizing backlight and the sunset in a really kind of ethereal, dreamy way, where it was very ambiguous where the setting was. And I wanted to do a little ship in a teacup. So I actually went to the vintage stores and I went through probably like 5 of them until I found the perfect teacup and tiny little ship. And then I assembled it all together and put it on a headpiece. I got pearls and little crystals, and I wired them into her hair because I wanted it to look like little drops of ocean falling from, falling and cascading down her hair. And then I have her wearing a little vintage dress because, again, I really like vintage clothing and vintage accessories because I think it creates a timeless look to the image.
Do you have any tips for our audience about how you edit consistently, how you create that magic and whimsy that we see in all of your imagery?
Yes, absolutely. So I think consistency is such a key word there because, if you want to have a consistency in your style, you want to be recognizable in your style, and both to your clients, and to your viewers. And I think that to have that kind of consistency is really key. And I know that a lot of photographers struggle with that. And I actually do have something very special now that I've been working on for a while. I have my action sets called Wanderlust and Whimsy. I wanted it to be 2 really complete sets, and Ashley and I worked on it really hard from Bellevue Avenue. And one set is magic, and so it lets you create some of that, whimsical, ethereal, fairy tale look. And the other set is my workflow. And, it really is very thorough with lots of steps and options.
What do you look for in locations, and how hung up are you on your time of day?
That's a really excellent question, actually, because when I'm doing a creative, fine art piece, I have a lot more flexibility, with location, with time of day, with the light, because I can really choose what I want. When I'm working with clients, it's a different situation because sometimes I don't have ideal light and I'm shooting during the bright time of the day. It's not exactly perfect, but I try and make as perfect of an image as I can in any given environment. And I feel like if you're a strong technician and you understand light and exposure, then in almost any kind of lighting situation, you could make it work. So my favorite time of day to shoot is golden hour, which is the time right before the sunset. People also say that sunrise is lovely. I don't get to see that much, so. But if I had to shoot during the day and I had lots of sun, I would probably choose an area that has a lot of cover or shade, because the even shade will definitely be your best option other than, soft, beautiful, even light. So in terms of the environment, I think that for me, an image is a complete whole. It's a piece, so it's all the elements put together. It's the setting, the posing, the light, the connection with the camera, the subject, what they're wearing, what's going on in the background. And I just feel like the background to me, or the setting, should complement and bring attention to the subject for portraiture. In a way that's complementary without taking too much away from them.
Yeah.
So if you notice, most of my backgrounds, although they do tend to fit in with the theme and the feel of the image, they don't have a lot going on, because I think subtlety really brings attention to your subject. So less is more. I'm also inspired by my environment. So some photographers have, their go-to locations, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. But I really like to go to a location and be inspired by something new. So I'm so excited to see this gorgeous little town.
Oh, it is a gorgeous
It is.
town.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking with you. We're super excited to host you in 2018 at the Uncommon Creative Collective Conference. Yay! Katie will be covering whimsical childhood sessions in historic Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we are very excited to see what you come up with for that.
So excited! It's going to be so beautiful!
It's going to be lots of wine, lots of fun.
So many pluses.
I know, right?
Wine, check.
Yeah. Oh, Katie.
But also photography. Check.
Lots of photography.
And lots of photography.
Tons of photography. Bye.
Bye, Katie.
Bye.
Join us September 22nd to the 24th, 2018 in beautiful Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario for the Uncommon Creative Collective, Canada's Family Photography Conference.
We didn't want to see the cast. We forgot to ask.
Oh my gosh.
This is Bella. This is my little girl.
Oh, Bella Fluffball, I love her.
So fluffy. Is she killing you?
She's eating me right now.
Amazing.
She does not want to
Camera
be
shy?
today.
It's
Little
a love
camera
nip.
shy.
It's a love nip.
It's a love nip. She's like, I'm gonna love nip your finger off in about 1 minute.
Unless there was,
dances.
yeah. Did you just dance yourself out of the chair? You okay there? We have a Piper down.